Hello and welcome along to the stunning range here at West Hill Golf Club, where today I've been testing the new TaylorMade M2 Hybrid. Now the M2 range, as you may know, sits alongside the M1 range, and it's the more forgiving, slightly cheaper option to the M1. That's because chiefly there's no adjustability in the M2. That's the same with the Hybrid. As you can see, it's got a fluted hosel rather than an adjustable hosel. The fluted hosel basically has saved a bit of weight, and that weight has been put low and back in the head to help increase forgiveness. There's no sole adjustability either, like the M1 Hybrid, which has some weights you can switch around to change your flight. M2 Hybrid is pretty much as you see it is as you get it. So chiefly it's here for forgiveness. I've been hitting some shots before you join me on the GC2 launch monitor, and it certainly is forgiving on the poor strikes. I've hit a multitude of left and right and low on the face shots, and most of them were getting out there, pretty much all of them were getting out there, in fact, within 90% of my normal carry distance. For me, for a hybrid, that's around 190. My poor strikes were definitely getting out there at 180, 185. And I didn't see too many of my left shots that I can sometimes be guilty of. And technology-wise, what can the M2 offer you? Well, like a lot of TaylorMade hybrids, it's got a speed pocket along the bottom, and that's a slot design that basically springs at impact, helps catapult your ball out into the distance. For the M2, that has changed into an open channel speed pocket, and that just means it's a bit wider and it's a bit more better at its job. So it will spring more and it will give you that little bit more ball speed protection. So if you hit it out the toe, out the hill, low on the face, it should get closer to your carry yardages. And I was certainly seeing that on the GC2 when I hit some bad shots. Compared to the M1, you'll also notice the M2 is a little bit bigger to look at. Its profile is certainly much more fairway wood-like. It's longer from front to back, and that just means for your higher handicappers and your mid-handicappers that are probably veering towards this club, it's just a bit more confidence-inspiring to look down on at address. It's also made of steel, 159 for the M2, and I think you'll agree that is pretty good value. I've hit some shots on it on the launch monitor, as I mentioned, and I'm just going to run you through some of those. Compared to my current hybrid, which is exactly the same loft, it's 19-degree 3-iron. And it's quite interesting reading. If you look at the two, I'll put them up on screen now, you'll see that ball speed was pretty much the same with my Adams Hybrid and with the M2 Hybrid. You'll see that the launch was give or take the same. It went from 12.5 degrees with the M2 to 13 degrees with the Adams, so again within half a degree of each other at launch. Backspin was pretty similar. It was a bit lower with the M2, down at 3,000. It was about 3,800 with the Adams Hybrid. And because of that extra backspin, the Adams was a bit higher at peak trajectory. It was about 5 degrees higher, 5 yards higher, sorry, than the M2. All in all, they both carried exactly the same distance, 194 on average. So you think, well, there's not too much difference in them. What I will say is with the M2 Hybrid, I hit a lot better bad shots. So my poor shots that I had to take out of the data with my Adams were 50, 60 yards offline. With this, they were maybe only 10 or 15 yards offline, which means that rather than a lost ball or a greenside bunker, I'm probably going to still have a shot at the green with this. And that's all probably down to the speed pocket technology on the sole that really does work. Obviously with the Adams, because of that extra peak height, it might land a little bit softer. But I think that's probably because the shaft in that is 65 grams, 75 grams in this, so it's just going to have that little bit of extra clubhead speed, which probably helped it get that bit higher. Overall, I think this is a really, really good club. Very good on the miss hits, very, very good out the middle. You'll see on the data that my longest one got out to about 207, really sprung off the face, that one. So certainly lots of performance to be had in this. As with all of TaylorMade's products, you can get a really good custom fitting with lots of shaft options, lots of grip options. The lofts do come in 3-iron, 4-iron, 5-iron and 6-iron replacements, so plenty of room to get it in your bag wherever your gaps might be. All in all, I think this is a really strong performer, and if you've not upgraded recently, it's certainly one to put on your try list.